Hello, everyone. Just a minute. Okay, yeah. So, good day, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're joining us from. You're welcome to the Elite Book Readers Club. Uh, Today is our book review session, the October book review session, and we are reviewing a very interesting book titled The Joy of Connections. That is 100 Ways to Beat Loneliness and Live a Happier and More Meaningful Life. The authors are Dr. Ruth Westheimer with Alison Gilbert and Pierre Leo. Yeah, I hope I pronounced the name very well. Okay, so I'm not here alone. With me, other people will be joining us on the review sessions. We have here currently Iola Dumosu, and later on I should have Chukudi Okekiara to join us. Okay, so if you're just joining the Elite Book Readers Club for the first time, let me take this opportunity to first welcome you and to tell you about the club. So, like I say most times, the Elite Book Readers Club is a club not for book lovers. It's a club for people who consider book as a tool towards capacity development, towards personal development, right? And our vision is to redefine human potential through literature, right? And our current mission is to sculpt a future where human potential knows no bound, empower young minds to shatter the barriers of conventional thinking, and guide them on a transformative journey of self evolution, pushing the envelope of creativity, impact, and visionary leadership. So, we are really big on pushing the creativity through the books you read, the impact you make, and then you become a visionary leader, right? And how do we achieve this mission? Is through three central themes that we consider pivotal to capacity development. Number one is personal growth and development. Number two is financial planning and management. And the third one being relationship building and emotional intelligence. So right away, before we dive into today's discourse, I would like you to, for our viewers, wherever you're joining us from, wherever you are, you are, wow, amazing, amazing. Can you see this? Oh, let me show this. Okay, wow, we have Alison Gilbert in the session today. Wow, wow. Wow, Alison, it's a pleasure having you join us in the session. Wow. Okay, yeah, good. Thank you so much, Alison Gilbert. It's good to have you in our midst. Okay, so yeah, we'll go right away into the book. But before we do that, so for our members, we would like you to type wherever you're joining us from, the state, the country, because we have members from different parts of the world. Although we have majority today in Nigeria, however, we still have some in other parts of the world. Okay, so I will first like to read the publisher's summary. So Dr. Ruth's strategies are essential for building the kind of bonds that would that will reduce loneliness and transform life, according to Gretchen Rubin. So let me just read more into like the publisher's summary. So when Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy sounded the alarm that loneliness represents an urgent public health concern, exacerbated by social media overuse, the residual effect of the pandemic, and the lack of meaningful relationships, trusted therapists, Dr. Ruth knew that a unique perspective and expertise could help. Expertise could help, right? Long beloved For breaking stigmas around sexual problems, Dr. Ruth has made it a new mission to help individuals break free from the bonds of hopelessness and isolation. According to her, we are social animals. We have a shared desire to connect and create lasting relationships with the people around us. But the evidence of loneliness can make this feel impossible, right? Dr. Rose with Emmy Award winning journalist Alison Gilbert, who is also um, joining us here. That's really amazing, Alison. And longtime collaborator Peralio tackles the subject with compassion and a trademark no nonsense approach. Okay, yeah, yeah. So she provides practical and creative strategies for finding friends, community, and intimacy with her tips on navigating family dynamics, developing fulfilling social and romantic life, and using technology in healthy ways. You will find wisdom for any stage of life, right? The Joy of Connection isn't just an action oriented guidebook on overcoming loneliness, but one of the most well respected therapists of our time. Is Vital Kick in the pants we all need, right, in order to start seeking and finding deep and lasting human connections via 100 concrete and innovative opportunities that can be put to use immediately. So, to draw context to who the author is, Dr. Ruth was a German American sex therapist, talk show host, author, professor, and Holocaust survivor. She was born in Germany to a Jewish family. She experienced uh, you know, during the Holocaust era in the World War II, and moving to Paris, France. 2 years later, she studied psychology at the Sorbonne, immigrating to the United States in 1956. She worked as a maid to put herself through grad school and a master of arts degree in sociology from the New School in 1959. So I mean, she has a very great profile. Like she began a media career in 1980 with a radio call-in show called Sexually Speaking, which continued until 1990. Oh, where was I in 1990? Hmm. In your life, where were you in 1990? That's really a long time. Yeah, in 1983, it was the top-rated radio show in the area, in the country's largest radio market. She then launched a television show, the Dr. Ruth Show, which by 1985 attracted 2 million viewers a week. That's amazing. So she's the author of 45 books on sex and sexuality. Westheimer has been inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame and awarded the Magnus Hirschfeld Medal, the Ellis Island Medal of Honor, the Leo Barak Medal, the Planned Parenthood Margaret Sanger Award, and the Order of Merit. Wow, Order of Merit of the Federal Republic of Germany. Wow, what a profile. Okay, and the main chapters on the book, I mean, the book is not really that voluminous, but it contains a lot of salient points, a lot of things to. I feel it was just from one information to another great information that would really help, especially when it comes to managing loneliness, right? So the first chapter I talked about the Dr. Rules Made for Connection. Chapter two was on self, three family, followed by friends and lovers. The next chapter was on community, technology, your monthly calendar, then a dialogue between Dr. Ruth and the US surgeon, Dr. Vivek Murthy. Yeah, then there were some other part like references, but we're just focusing on the book chapters. Okay, I think I've done justice to that, to presenting the author's profile. Well, and also not forgetting that she wrote the book, that's Dr. Ruth wrote the book alongside Alison Gilbert and Pierre Leo. Okay, yeah. So let's start a session right away. Yeah, like what was your experience reading the book before we really go into the discussion? And also welcome Chikodi to the book review session.
Yeah, to be honest, when I initially when I was about to start reading the book, in fact, this book was picked as what we'll be reading for the month, I was like, I'm not lonely, so what do I need it for? That was the first thing that came to my head. But going into the book, I realized that they are vital. The nuggets or um the points or the steps rather are very important for our day-to-day life. They are
Yeah,
just basically there to sustain our relationships with people and to ensure that we do not allow uh, the things of life generally um, take away the essence of building relationships with people. So, I mean, for someone that will probably come into the or start reading the book with the notion that I don't need anybody, I'm not lonely, and what's not, it will give you it will change your perspective as to what is expected of you. Going generally in life and all of that. So, yeah, she's like she said, 100 opportunities. Yes, so the 100 steps, the 100 nuggets. I'll call it nuggets because they help to like direct you on how to maintain and sustain relationships with people to ensure that you avoid being lonely. So that was the experience I had, and I think it was worthwhile. So I like the
yeah,
fact that the book was not long. It didn't take too long to
true.
read.
Yeah,
Yes, because sometimes some authors just go on, and somehow you just lose yourself as you are going. But this one was straight to the point, So I enjoyed the overall process. So thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. I agree with you, Yola. Like, the book was really interesting. In fact, let me tell you something interesting about how I finally decided to read the book. So, like, normally a book is chosen in the Elite Book Readers Club, and normally I expected to start the book like beginning of the month, but I was like, the joy of connection. Like, I'm a social person. Like, I relate with people. I have friends. I am in community. I'm active in community. So I've never really experienced loneliness, even though I migrated from Nigeria to the US. I'm not technically with my family, but I've created a family for myself here in terms of like the people I have around me. So I was like, okay, I don't think this book is for me, right? And I remember chatting with Regina, that was the vice president, and I told her that I don't think I would really want to read this book because I felt this is not for me. But until I started the book, honestly, like the first chapter, I was like, okay, hmm, okay, sex therapies, masturbation, where's this book leading to? Okay, let me just take away my sentiment and pay attention to the entire content. And I'm glad I did. Like from the very first chapter to the last chapter, it was full of content. Like it was not like full with jargons, like technical terms when it comes to relationship, no use of words that could take away things from the face value rather than putting the place value. But I felt like she put it in, like the authors, then let me say she because there are like three authors. The authors like put it in a very simple, plain thing that you don't need a college degree to be able to relate with the book, right? Which I feel is really, really very important, right? And also, I took some actions after reading the book, which I will share later. So, okay, let's go straight into the discussion because of time. But before, let me pause a little. Chico, are you here with us now? Kingsley, are you here? Um, Kingsley, can you hear me? Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Um,
Kingsley, do you want to speak now?
Kingsley, do you want to speak now?
Okay, okay, okay. I think he's having issue with his network anyway. So let's go ahead with the review. Hopefully joins us. Okay, as usual in the Elite Readers Club, whenever we're evaluating a book, we like to look at it from the discussion part and then the controversial part, right? So first, starting with the discussion, we look at three areas to discuss. So the first area here is the role of self-care in building connection. Then we'll go to the second one and the third one. After that, we have the controversial topics that we could just rub minds and see different views, right? Just to ensure we maintain objectivity in how we read a book, right? Okay. So for the first discussion topic, the role of self-care in building connection. And for these, we'll discuss the self-awareness as the root of connection, um, prioritizing personal boundaries, that is, know your limits and needs, and how self-kindness reduces reliance on external validation and strengthens connection. Okay, so Iola, first let's start with the self-awareness as the root of connection. Like, what do you understand with that? Oh, great. So, what is your own perspective about self-awareness being uh, the root of connection?
Hmm. So I'll speak based on what I was able to conclude based on everything I read in the book. Now, this is my own perspective, and I'll say that being self-aware has a lot to do with knowing yourself and loving yourself. In the book, she mentioned among one of the 100 ways to build connections and to avoid loneliness. She said, you will not be able to sustain healthy relationships if you do not love yourself first. So basically,
Hmm.
to remain in a constant knowing of yourself and to ensure that the relationships you are trying to maintain or sustain with other people, stays long, then you have to know yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to know your strengths. You have to know your weaknesses. You have to know what triggers you. You have to, just understand yourself. It
Yeah.
gives a good base for building the right connections, because if you know yourself, you know the audience you fit into, you know the kind of people you want to relate with. Like in this book club we are in now, if you're someone that is very very key or very centered towards self-development, you join book clubs like this to ensure that you
Exactly
build
right.
connections with
Yeah.
people like that. Exactly. So if you know yourself, it's like one step. It just keeps you ahead of avoiding wasting time. Permits me to say the word or to use the word.
Mhm.
You just know yourself and you are able to build the right connections. So I think self
Yeah.
awareness basically, has to do with you just loving yourself, knowing yourself enough to love yourself enough to avoid um stories that touch, as Nigerians would say. So that's
True. Yeah.
yeah.
Let me
So
quickly
so that
interject with something here now. Uh, but whenever you take the flight, uh, and they'll read out some emergency tips. And part of the emergency tips is that even if you have a child close to you, and before you see that child, ensure you put on the safety gadget first to yourself, like put on your nose mask, dress
mm,
yourself, take time to first get yourself saved before you save someone else, right? And then
yeah.
in the book she wrote the word he said fill your own cup first, right? Because there's no way you can fill someone's cup, there's no way you can connect to others if you have issues knowing who you are, like you're struggling with self-identity. I mean, I just use the word that is very controversial in this time and age, uh identity, because um
Mm,
you know nowadays I think the struggle is like everybody's trying to know, okay, who are they now? Now, when I think about identity, I'm not referring to just being a male, female, or transgender or whatever it is. It's really about knowing yourself, right? Knowing your limitation, knowing what you need,
mm,
knowing. personality trait. Like we can,
Yeah.
divert into like things like temperament. You know,
Yeah.
can be like the extrovert. You can be the introvert. You can be you can be anything, right? Thank you, Alison. Yeah, so nice meeting with you also. Yeah, okay, thank you. So like, yes, as we're saying, you could be anything. I mean, you could be, for example, the four temperament that we have written by why you act the way you do. You could be like the sanguine, the choleric, the melancholy, the phlegmatic, and all those stuff. But if
Mm.
you don't really know who you are, what you stand for, uh, the things that defines you, it will be really difficult to connect. And from that perspective, you can misconstrue someone's intention, right? For example, a lady that has like issues with self-awareness, for instance, um, could misconstrue a guy's desire to just discuss as maybe the person as is trying to throw like what do you call it again? Just remind me the word you're whenever you are in, let's say you're in a meeting in the community and you just the opposite sex wants to relate. Sometimes the other person might, misconstrue the intention because of lack of self awareness or lack of self confidence or lack of self identity, right? Those are other issues. So I really agree with that, right? And
Mm.
I think it's also important to personalize personal boundaries, right? Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I agree.
And so let's say for example, let me give it like a story. Recently, I traveled to Baltimore, Maryland, and on a trip with my colleague, like a senior colleague, and he drinks. I don't drink. Like,
Mm. Okay.
right. So I was like, okay, Peter, will you come to the bar? Bar like is a regular thing in the US, yeah. So in the hotel, in the suite we were in, and he said, okay, let's come to the hotel. But the first day I didn't go. I was like, okay, how can I build relationship with this person as
Mm.
outside work purposes, like outside the circumference of work? So what I did was that I decided to go to the bar the following day and then ask for non-alcoholic options. Pour
Yeah.
the non-alcoholic in the glass jar, like in the glass cup, so everybody's drinking, alcohols and non-alcoholics, like they all have the same color. So nobody knows whether it is alcoholic or not alcoholic. And we're able to have a conversation without, any prejudice of, oh, alcohol is bad or good. Like I don't want the person to I mean, most of the reason why I avoid the bars before was I don't want the other partner to feel like I'm segregating or I'm condescending the fact that they drink, but
Mm.
it is never my intention anyway. But just that I just have my personal reasons why I don't drink. But later on, when I discovered that you could actually take non-alcohols, like in yeah in the bar, like okay, then let me join the bar anyway. So those are knowing your limits and needs, right? So imagine
Yes.
my limits, I could have messed up myself trying to take the alcohol and then misbehave at the end of everything, which I don't want. So let me hear from you anyway. You allow me to
Yeah.
keep.
So I'll just like to I'll just like to dwell on what you just mentioned because that's like a that's a wonderful example that you gave. Now, in this case, you were trying to build connections, and at the same time, you prioritized your boundaries. You knew your limits, and you knew what you wanted and what you needed. Basically, the fact that you were still able to maintain a connection with your colleague still helps to sustain that relationship. But at the same time, you've set boundaries. You've made them understand what you like and what you do not. And in this case, it's alcohol. And at the same time, you built a connection you were able to build a connection to say, you take alcohol, I don't, but that doesn't stop us from being colleagues or having
Yeah,
whatever business we have to have in this situation. So I think that's basically what the whole still under self-care. You have to know your boundaries, set your boundaries. Even with our families, right? With friends, colleagues, whoever it may be, let them know your likes and your dislikes and know
yeah,
what you really want. Because the truth is, Nobody's going to love you more than you love yourself. Nobody can love you more than that.
He can love you more
Um,
than that. Um,
she mentioned something. She said nobody can do that emotional heavy lifting for you, which is to love yourself, and that is what else to sustain your relationship. Truth is, people treat you as well as you treat yourself. People feed off the energy you give them. If you give them the energy of you are not worth it, they will treat you that way. It's just,
mm,
that's just how it works
give
in
and
life.
take.
Yes, it's whatever energy you give to them, they will give to you. And sometimes some people even try to ride on that and over ridicule. They'll want to ridicule you in the process. So, but if you know your boundaries, you set your boundaries. You are open about it. You let them know, because what you've done, you've indirectly set boundaries. You let them know that, oh, I don't take alcohol, but that doesn't stop me from having a relationship with you. I can do this, and I can compromise, and not necessarily compromise, but I can compromise in the sense of I can build relationships even if we don't have the same needs, or same we don't have the same likes.
Belief system,
That's
yeah.
just what yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah. I agree with you. Like, yeah, it's, definitely we also learn to compromise. However, there are some things that we can compromise and some things we cannot compromise. And I think in the book, the author was also talking about like, self care as regards to like caregivers. You know, for example, let's say you're the yeah, let's say the should I say the last born or the youngest in the family. The rest have traveled out of, or maybe the rest are working other states in the in wherever you are, and you're like taking care of your grandfather, your grandmother, taking care of your parents, taking care of people like a caregiver, right? And there's sometimes that you need to call them and like, okay, you guys need to come over to help or find a way of assisting me here because I mean the scenario the writer was painting here was like I mean the authors were painting is that let's say you're a caregiver and you don't have the time to attend events, you are always at home taking care of family, right? Which is not bad, but you haven't had a means to like connect with people, so it's easier to find yourself lonely, and you're a social being and you cannot afford to be lonely, right? Although you are not technically lonely in the sense that, I mean, you can be, I mean, there's a difference between alone and loneliness, right? So technically, you're not alone, right? But you are lonely in the sense that you're not relating with your peers. You don't have people that are sharing things, people that you can really rub minds with, right? So it's important to ask for help, right? I mean, you're like, I get what you said there, right? So it's important to really, really ask for help. Know when you can push it. And again, another thing that happens is that I mean, I don't know if you agree with me, but I feel that some people naturally they are very kind. When I use the word kind, I don't intend to use it anyhow or to use it in the wrong context. What I meant is that they just don't know how to say no, right? Even at work, they are stressed. They don't have time for family. They don't have time for their children, but they just want to be a good person to their colleagues in at work, and they're like, okay, Peter, do you want to take up this job? Yes. Peter, do you want to do that? Yes. Peter, do you want to do that? Yes. Peter, do you want to do that? Yes, 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 yes. And now you are bombarded with a lot of activities to do that take you away from connecting with people. I think in the book, the author also made a scenario of talked about a scenario of someone who before giving birth, I mean before marrying, it was a bit social, but after marriage, he stopped relating with people. Like he never had the time to relate. It's always my wife thing, my wife thing, which is not bad, right? Now you're settled, like which is like a scenario most marriage people married people for them find themselves in, not just married people, the young couples, right? Like, oh, I found the bone of my bone. There's no need going to the bar. There's no need going to to visit a friend. There's no need going for an occasion. What am I looking for, right? But sadly, which is not a normal case, right? Sadly, the man lost his wife, right? I mean, the wife died to an illness, and he became so lonely, like because at that point, he hasn't built any connection with people again. Like he broke all connections just because of his marriage. And now the person he thought he could spend the rest of his life with is no longer there. And imagine what that scenario would be. But also look at it vice versa in the case of Dr. Ruth's story, when she talked about how she managed the situation with her daughter, right? After giving birth, normally you won't have the time to, visit friends and family, but instead of allowing that to, affect her, she brought the connection home. Like she would organize events in her house, organize different kind of stuff in her house for people to come and visit her, right? So the child literally grew up seeing people coming to visit them, right? So I mean, she plays different kind of scenarios and how you could still maintain self care or self awareness or prioritize your boundaries or prioritize your self kindness. Um, Without losing connection, right? Which I feel is really, really important. So quickly, let's talk about like self-kindness, like how does it relate to external validation, I mean like yeah, so let me stop on that. So what do you think, Yola?
Okay, so this is my own perspective. I think if you're kind enough to yourself, and it still all boils down to loving yourself. When you love yourself, you be kind to yourself, and you love yourself so much that you know yourself, you know what you want, you know how you want things to be in your life generally, and what people really have to say or what people think about you to a very large extent does not affect you, does not affect the decisions you make. And truly, like I said, people feed off the energy you give them. It helps your relationship when people notice that you're someone that loves his or herself, or someone that is kind enough to not require people's how do I put it now? People, I don't want to use
Opinion.
the word validation, but validation in this case. So you are not someone that is hell bent on getting what people have to. You're not moved by what people have to say necessarily. People admire people that have guts. People admire people that love themselves, or
Exactly. Yeah.
yes, people will admire you because you don't listen to what the crowd has to say. You're very
Mhm.
determined, you're very focused, and you go after what you want basically. Not at the detriment of anybody. You're not trying to make life difficult for anyone, but you're going for what you want. You are kind enough to yourself to say, this relationship, I don't want it with you. Why? Because it's affecting me, you know. And to
Exactly.
be honest, yes, that person would you person may not like it at that time when you're trying to cut off that relationship. But trust me,
They
going
respect you.
forward, the person is going to respect you, and
Yeah.
the person can easily point at you to say, or point, make reference to you and say that person is somebody worthy of emulation. So that's my own perspective. You're kind enough to yourself, you love yourself so much, or you love yourself enough that you do not allow a relationship deter you. But at the same
Yeah.
time, and when I say deter you, you're not listening to what everybody has to say. Oh, this person said this about me. That you know yourself enough, and you love yourself that much. You're kind to yourself in that case, and it avoids pretentious relationships. To be honest, because when you don't seek validation from others, you don't tend to be in their space. You tend to be in the space of
Mhm.
people that, yeah, you be in the space of people that really
Yeah.
care about, people that you know they know you for you, and in that process you
Exactly.
are building you are building a very good connection with that person or those people, as the case may be. So that's my own perspective.
Yeah, I agree with you. Before we switch to another topic, Chico, do you want to say something?
Yeah, can you
Now,
guys hear me now?
yeah, yeah, you can hear no feedback from like no echo.
Okay. What I was trying to Okay, let me just start from the top. Yeah, then so that we can just finish this up, if that is okay, right?
I can't hear you again.
He's
Okay, I
asking
said
if you can
I'll just
find
start. I'll start from the
it.
top so that before we move on, if that's okay.
Okay, 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 no problem. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
great.
yeah. Basically, I have to really admire the age at which Dr. Ruth actually wrote this book. You get
Yeah,
it's like
90 something.
I think 96. It was. It's
Yeah.
like it was it for me at that point in time. It's something that maybe you could tell tales by the moonlight, but to actually write something of your experience at that age is something that I just have to marvel at because it's really something. It shows experience.
Oh no, oh no.
And we lost him.
Ah, yeah, I lost you to network. I think it's network issue, right? So, while it comes, I don't want us to spend too much time on this part. Just want to reiterate a particular thing that you know, part of self care is healing yourself, right? Like, for example, you have issues with your appearance, right? You are okay, for example, let's say you're short, right? Not that tall. I mean, appreciate the fact that you are short and see the beauty in being short. You have black skin, or you're dark skin, or you are fair. Appreciate that uniqueness, right? I mean, it's so interesting that upon the millions of and trillions of people on the planet of the earth, nobody has the same DNA, right? Nobody has the same genetic makeup, right? It's quite interesting that I can use fingerprint to detect people from wherever you are, and there will not be errors. That shows that people are unique. So if people can appreciate the fact that they're unique, appreciate their appearance, appreciate uh, even some actions they have done. For example, someone that is wallowing in, let's say, guilt, it will be very difficult to really connect with people. So just accept yourself for who you are, like heal yourself, make peace with yourself. Let's say you made a very blatant mistake. Fine, you made a mistake, move on, right? Because I think Dr. Ruth did a lot of a good example, talking about a personal life in terms of uh, I think marrying early, struggling with I think her first relationship before she finally decided to part ways, although still maintaining that relationship. She made different kind of scenarios where that she didn't regret her decision, right? She just made peace with herself. And I feel it's really important that we make peace with ourselves, as that would foster the kind of connection we have, or the kind of people we can relate with, right? I mean, you don't want to be in a situation where you're always in the pity party, like people have to pity you always. It's Yeah, it will bring in some connection. However, it might not be the kind of connection you want. You might end up having people who will, um, you know, exploit you, or what's the word? For the lack of word, I think exploitation might be the right word. For example, a lady who just maybe experienced an heartbreak up during that period, you're kind of needing people to, empathize with you, to sympathize with you, to spend time with you, or to make you not feel lonely, right? And if you really don't, forgive yourself or make peace with yourself concerning whatever you have done that led to that breakup, right? Whether it's the person's fault or your fault, right? Somebody else can come in all in the disguise of I want to help you, all in that disguise of I am helping you during your troubled period, and then you'll begin to have like a feeling for the person, or the person could decide to exploit you. And so I'm just thinking about some different connections we could have if self-care is not a matter that has been properly handled. Right. So I agree with you on that. So let's shift the gear now to the power of small kindness and vulnerability, the everyday acts that we could engage in to build connections, right? Three things we'll discuss is
Okay,
like, let's
can you
start
hear
with the
me
first
now?
one. Yeah, I can hear you,
Please
Chikodi. Let me
again.
just go over this. The first thing
Okay,
is how small
no problem.
gesture, like a compliment or a smile, make others feel seen and valued. The second one being that why sharing struggles with trusted. Okay, let's start with the first one. How small gestures like a smile can make you feel seen and valued. So, Chikodi, let's speak on this because of time, right?
Okay, for me, this is, it's something that has to do with emotional connection, and
Mhm.
I feel it's something that, it's something that you have to, something that needs to be done after you've conquered self. The Dr. Ruth and the authors, that, self has a larger percentage in coming out of, you know in being able to connect. And I feel like you can't really start this stage without you conquering yourself. You just have to get that clear. This is not something that you just learn or you get practical tips. You must conquer yourself first before you can now start, because you just coming out of your shell, it's a bit, it's like you now taking a leap too far when you are saying, okay, you can now talk very well, communicate. Even when you are trying to communicate your ideas, if you are lonely, it's very hard trying to get people into your ideas and stuff. But if you've been able to get yourself, know that, okay, yeah, this is who I am, then these stages would seem like, the practical terms of, okay, after I've conquered myself, how can I know that, yeah, I'm doing well? And that is when, okay, every single day you tell yourself, I'm to compliment 5 people. And if you can do that very well, you can be like, yeah, okay, okay, I think I've worked on myself. And then this brings the I think this now draws the idea of family, of friends, because with this simple gesture, this is how you can maintain relationships with family, with friends, even new people. You've been able to communicate, give a single compliment, you meet a stranger, and before you know, you can build a relationship from there. So this is now like rope saying every other thing, you understand? And
Yeah.
this single gesture, it's something that I've been meaning to try right from when we read this book on the 16 undeniable laws of communication, but still, it's still in the works. Because, but I think I've been trying it at least. Maybe when I was in train station, I saw someone. I was like, wow, I like this. I like the book you are reading, because she was reading a book on the train station. I was like, wow, what book are you reading? And she was like, wow, okay, okay. And friend, I was able to just talk about, okay, I'm part of a book club and stuff like that. And well, it was a good conversation, you understand?
Yeah.
And these also
Yeah.
ways that you can use to also buid conversations also. Yeah, because it's
Yeah,
it
I
has a
agree with
lot of it. It's a two-way thing. It's not, if it's something you give, and even though you are not getting anything, you are actually getting something. Even though it's not live, but I think this is a two-way thing. You give someone a compliment, you don't even need any other thing. You just feel that your own,
you.
you
Joy.
just receive your own immediately.
Yeah.
It's and on sharing struggles with trusted ones.
Okay. Before
I
we go to
don't
the
think
sharing
I.
struggles, let's talk about small gesture. So let me
I
just re-echo what you said.
yeah.
Okay. Um, I think I'm getting the feedback from you. Can you mute your mic?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, as I was saying, like as you said, like it's a give and take situation. Just like Yola also said, if you give small gesture, definitely, um, even without people giving you back, like there's just sense you just feel happy with yourself, right? And let me just piggyback on what Dr. Ruth said in the book. Um, you know, organizing events, like having a small, like she call it your monthly calendar, where you organize like different event at home, not big events. In fact, for example, in the US, whenever we're going outing, is everybody pays the bills. Like nobody pays. Like I don't pay for you, you pay. But although I know that organize a trip, but everybody pays their bills, right? But so it's just a means for people to meet together And I have a friend. I don't want to share much information, but I have a friend who would just say she would just send a text to people in the group. You know, like yeah, she was just like, okay, guys, I made bread, banana bread. You can come over. She likes to bake. So she said you can come over to have one, right? I love food. I'll just go over to her house, you know, eat the bread, thanks, oh, right? And then she will just another dish like, okay, I baked another cake. I baked muffins. I did these. I made a milkshake. You know, all those little gestures. She kind of bring people to her house, and on her birthday, she was not really expecting anything from anybody normally, but on her birthday, people took it to heart and she received tons of gifts that she never expected. Although she wasn't doing those small get kindness for to getting gifts from people, but people naturally would just feel the sense of commitment. They'll feel the sense of this sense of what's the word? Should I use the word like indebtedness? Like they're not indebted to you because you helped them. It's not like they needed help, but the fact that you're just kind to them. Because in this world, there are not so many kind people out there. So if you truly, so I see some people that say that people are not really kind. Right? Exactly. Like you're like people owe you, right? So and I hear people say that there are not kind people in the world, whereas it shouldn't be that statement. If you are saying there are no kind people in the world, is actually the fact that you have not shown so many kindness to many people because it's this reciprocal, right? If you show kindness, even the smallest kindness, you don't need to break a bank. You could just, call it watermelon day, apple picking, or even the as little as I like your dress. Like you dress so smart. I love your outfits. I mean, little compliments like that can really change the day for somebody. I mean, everybody's going through a lot of shit, so you should not be the one adding to the entire shit, right? Try to just take the pain away from people, try to make them smile. And even if you don't make them smile, you just smile. And I have another friend who like a name on the group chat on a particular group chat we belong is a name with a smiling emoji. So recently, I just observed that anytime I just read a name, right, or read his name, like I just naturally smile because of the smiling emoji. So you can see these are little gesture, little things like that could just make people relate with you easily, right? Or maybe at work, I think she also mentioned what's this? Was it like five? I'm trying to recall the name. The 5 minute rule. Not 5 minutes. The 5%. Okay, I can't recall the name. She was like, whenever you go for an event or like a dinner, like the first outing, be the one to first make the payment, like pay for everyone. If it's not too expensive, right? If it's not something that is really expensive, if it's something that I mean, you know that they can pay it off normally, right? Like it could just be like maybe a drink. Oh, don't worry, guys, this drink is on me, right? It doesn't hurt you. Like you have the money. It's not like you're spending a lot of money, but just that little act can forever be in the heart of the people, even if they could afford it, right? They could create space. I think she talked about a cafe, a cafe. Was it a cafe? No, not a cafe. I think a coffee shop. Yeah, a coffee shop where it's like a coffee shop for celebrities, and where like she mentioned a friend. I'm trying to recall the name of the friend that would pay for her coffee, even knowing that she could pay off her coffee, right? But because of that little act, she and the person got together, started talking, and they became friends, right? So all those little acts, like you go to you get try to get a coffee, you try to get food or some things, just that little act, right, can change a lot of things, right? Yella, what do you think about it? Yella, can you hear me?
Sorry, I had a network connection. Can you
Okay,
repeat the
okay.
question?
So I mean, what can you say about the reciprocal nature? Okay, I think I've said so much about this. Let's
Yeah.
let's move to the next one because of time, right? I'm trying
All
to
right.
manage time. So we're still on discussion. I'm not going to the controversial
All right.
topics. I think this part is very, very important. Navigating a relationship in the digital age. Nowadays, we have a lot of situations like online dating, which is good, right? Uh, but a lot of folks now, focus on the online dating rather than the physical dating. Like, if you could spend the time online, why not just go to a bar? Why not just go to a coffee shop? Why not just go to an event or join a community, join volunteer in an event, and you will meet with people, right? And you meet with them physically, like see them for who they are before you. Although, I mean, a lot of people nowadays have found their love. Um, they're married. I mean, like, yeah, their love. I would love to do what their love via online dating site, which is very good, right? But Dr. Ruth was advocating we need to move out, right? But at the same time, have a balance between that digital connection and in-person connection. Okay, so I've done so much of the talking. Iya, I can go ahead.
Hmm. Wow. How to find a healthy mix of digital and in-person connection. Um, I think there's a need. So if you're ensuring that there's a healthy mix between how much time you spend online and how much time you are spending with people, I think the book mentioned something about being intentional. You have to put in the work to actually make friends. You have to put in the work to actually build connections. So yes, it is 100% lovely to have a social media presence. You have your online friends in quotes. She mentioned something also about Twitter and all of that. But the truth is, you need to do more than just sitting down behind your computer or behind your phones. You need to do more than that. You need to go out of your way. You could, for example, like she mentioned in the book, you could go to I feel like it's easier for guys. I stand to be corrected. Guys easily make friends. Yes, guys are guys can make friends easily.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I'll speak from the context of where I'm located because I'm in Nigeria.
yeah.
I don't know any other type of relationship that men have that is swift than a football connection, like a football talk. Yeah, it's the truth. No,
That's the
it's the
way to
truth.
start a conversation. Just say,
Yes, that's
hi.
100%.
Imagine
Yes.
what this guy just played. In fact, the reason why I'm in the hurry for us to finish this session is that there's a match by 3 p.m.
Uh-huh. See?
I need to
See?
watch it.
You see what I'm saying? So it's easier for it's easier for guys, to be honest. But truth is, this everybody should just try to find a common ground. So for guys, it could be a football viewing center.
Viewing
For ladies, it
center.
could be
For ladies,
if I can hear myself now.
I can hear myself now.
Okay, I think Chikude wants to
I
do
think
something.
I think you could
people
also
need
do
to
something.
like
Like,
okay. So as I was
okay.
saying,
So as I was saying,
I can still hear
I
myself.
can still hear myself.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, he's out. Okay, so basically we need to find a balance. Okay, there's a need to find a common ground, especially when it comes to physical interaction. Because truth is, we need each other, and human beings were made to interact. We're not made to just sit down behind our computers or sit down behind our phones and have Twitter fingers. Pardon my word. Yeah, for guys, it could be a football viewing center. For ladies, it could be a common ground, probably a nice outing or whatever. Just try to build connections in anywhere you find yourself or places that
Yeah,
you feel like
someone
you have a
said salon.
yeah. Yes, salons. Oh, right. Yes, somebody said salon. I don't go to the salon often, so I can't relate like that. But of course, salons
But
are
it's spa.
100%
Yeah, yeah.
valid.
So
Salons, in fact, you could. you know, just as an example, the example that was given in the book, you could go to a coffee shop, and then you are reading a book that is a popular one. Maybe, for example, for those that are, that read other books apart from, self-development books and all, there's this book titled a, I've forgotten the title, but it's by Lady Fatima Bala, and it's a best-selling book, at least in Nigeria. You could go to a coffee shop, even the salon, you know, you could be reading it, and somebody might pick it. You're like, oh, I know this book, I know this author, and then you guys could build connections in that process.
Yeah.
So it's very insightful. You could also be wearing a jersey that says something that people have common ground with. It could be a football
Yeah, I think she
jersey.
mentioned that in the book also. Yeah.
Yes, it could be a football jersey. It could be anything, just
Yeah,
to.
it could even be your university jersey, your university
Yes,
jersey,
exactly.
the club
Greatest
you support,
appetite,
yeah,
something of that nature. Yeah, somebody be like, "Oh, you went to Unilag." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I did," and before you know it, you build connections. So there's a
exactly,
need to find that balance. Basically, what I'm saying is go out. You need to go out.
exactly.
Yes, you have
Leave the
to.
comfort zone.
Yes, leave your phone. Leave your phones, leave
I
your
also
app.
see people that are like very outspoken on social media, but you
But in
meet
person,
them in real life, and they're like very introverted, like they can't say anything. I'm like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, so
yeah, those are one of the causes of loneliness, because that person is it's like they're another person online, but when you see them in reality, they are like a different person entirely. So it's important to build that same energy you are building online, bring it out, come out of your shell, go somewhere, meet people, and so that's just my own perspective.
yeah.
I
So
like
let
that.
me switch. Let me
Yeah.
switch the gear again to another perspective of digital, right? Is my this is my own personal belief and personal practice from books I've read, from suggestions I've read, listened to. Um, so whenever I'm with friends, I'm with people, I try not to check my phone. I try not to use my phone. In fact, most times whenever I'm with people and we are discussing, I like just turn my phone, the front of my phone, like the viewing part, I turn it upside down on the table, right? Yeah, yes, it was also mentioned in the book. I agree with you, Yola. So it's a very good thing, especially when you're at the pub, or pub is like a drinking place, like a bar, and you want to really engage in conversation because people will be there with you, right? Um, I think it's very, very important, even if you don't have something to say. That few minutes of not discussing, but the fact that you have your phone turned upside down and you're drinking or you're doing something else, or maybe you're just watching what is streaming, or maybe you're just in that environment with a smile on your face, somebody will raise up a discussion, right? But not when you have headphones on your head, right? You have a very big headphones or earpiece, and you have your phone facing you, even if nobody called you, right? Nobody will want to uh, just break the flow. I mean, they don't know what you are doing, they don't know whether you are dealing with something serious, and you'll see nobody's discussing with you. I mean, you never created an atmosphere for people to discuss with you. So all those little things that people don't really pay attention into really matters. And I don't know if you have this observation. I have been observing it lately, even amongst many younger folks. Like, let me say younger folks. I'm also young anyway. Um, and I did this observation even right on my campus here. I saw this group of young guys, undergrads, and they were eating together, but they were all on their phones. And I kept staring around the entire community of these undergrads, like all on their phone. Why won't you be isolated? Why won't you have the case of mental issues, mental health? Like mental health is like a big thing. Isolation is now like a pandemic in different countries in the United States. I think is in Brazil or Mexico. I'm trying to or Venezuela. All that I'm like people are becoming addicted to their phone. Nowadays, if you don't want to leave your house, like you don't want to leave home, you can do everything with your phone. You can, chat with your phone. You can watch movies with your phone. You can play games with your phone. You can do every kind of thing with your phone. I don't have to go out, right? So I feel, and again, you have those excess screen lights getting into your brain. Personally, like there was a particular week I lost control of my screen time because normally I usually have something I used to block my screen time. Like I control my screen time with an app called Focus on on Apple Play Store. You can check it out. Focus. So during that week I was like, I don't care about what Focus tells me, right? And I spent a lot of time on the screen. What I observed that came as a product of that is that I somewhat became a little bit depressed in the sense that I never wanted to talk to anybody. I was like, nobody should call me, nobody should talk to me. I just want to be alone for like a week. And initially, it's never occurred. Like it was because I've spent so much time on the screen. It has affected some part of my brain and a dopamine effect. And now I just want to be alone, right? I feel these are other areas that we don't know. These are the subtle things that lead to isolation and that can be affected, that can be alleviated or can be mitigated if we take conscious account of our screen time. Yeah, which the author also said. Yeah. Okay, so let's switch the gear to controversies. Is loneliness more dangerous than physical health risk? I mean, like, according to the book and according to life itself, what's it called? Uh, Loneliness is now a pandemic in some countries. Like a lot of people are just indoors; they don't want to go out, and that's why you now have a lot of dating sites just to make people come out, right? Because people are lonely; they are not married, they are not anything. It's just like that. So, what do you think is loneliness more dangerous than physical health risks, like the case of other health issues that we have? So, Chikudi, I would like you to go ahead this time around. Since, yeah, I think you have not spoken so much.
Uh,
Okay, I think he's having network issues. You're like, go ahead, please. Um, can you hear me, Yola?
Okay, so the question is loneliness dangerous than physical health risks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I
Mm-hmm.
can. I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I think there's a lag time.
Hello? Oh wow, okay. Um Loneliness basically has an adverse effect on our mental health, and a lot of what we do, a lot of what makes up our well-being as takes place in our minds. And when you are feeling a sense of loneliness, a sense of you don't belong, a sense of I'm alone in this world and all of that, then of course it's quite dangerous compared to physical health. I'm not saying this is not to say that physical health shouldn't be taken or shouldn't be made paramount, but loneliness is a pandemic, and which is one of the reasons Dr. Ruth had to write about this book. In fact, there's according to the book, she said there's an agency that was created just for the sake of
Yeah,
loneliness.
she was made the loneliness ambassador.
Yes, exactly. So it's a pandemic. It's
Yeah.
and it's a pandemic. Let me just put it that way. And of course, I think everybody should prioritize, you know, um, ensuring that their mental space or their mental health rather, is well managed,
Yeah.
because
Um.
if you're not feeling you're not feeling upright, you're not feeling okay mentally, upstairs, let me put it that way, for the way the Nigerians say it, you are not able to take care of whatever relationship or whatever activity you need to take care of in your day-to-day life. So it really affects it. And if we're asking if government and communities should invest in social spaces and resources, definitely, because everything has been taken over by computer now. I was watching an interview by a renowned health expert, and he was saying that um, social interaction will be at a at the least, at very, 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 very minimal in the next 20 years. People will be craving um, social connection, like one-on-one interaction. And to be able to avoid such, there's a need for communities, there's a need for government to prioritize doing things in the lines of social connections amongst people. They could set up social arenas, things that would help to propagate people's relationships. That's my own perspective.
Yeah, let me
Um,
quickly take it up from that on the government part. Yeah, just to drop like other suggestions to things government could do, which
mm,
Dr. Ruth also highlighted. Like, you know, she said in some communities, like the parking space are made separately, right? But within the walking distance of where people are, they have more of like what do you call it? Like a mini parks, um, where people can sit down and just get talking, you know, create a little kind of community space where your children can just come over. People that love dogs can bring their dogs, different things. I mean, just to take away that barrier, that isolation, right? I'm just trying to emphasize like what
yeah,
government
yeah,
some
that's 100% valid. Hopefully, our Nigerian government can do something of that nature, because I don't even think those people think about us. Let's be honest. So I don't think our minister of is there even a minister of social? I don't know,
I
but
mean,
hopefully, what I don't know. This is Nigeria, so I'll just say that for our Nigerian audience, let's
yeah,
prioritize, interacting with people. Let's avoid the dangers of loneliness, in our
okay.
day-to-day life, because we are all getting very carried away with social media, the digital space, and all of that. So it's essential that we ensure that we build social connections. Let's have, you know, concrete relationships with people. There's this. I remember one of the books. Oh, right, it was these 7 habits of highly effective people. It was talking
Yeah,
about something in that book. The author mentioned something about social bank, or your social. Oh God, is this social? I can't remember, but it's like a bank where you put currency. Your
yeah,
social interactions with people is like your currency in the social space in this world. If you don't
yeah.
have any money in that account, you cannot get anything out of it. That's
Yeah.
just it. So
I
yeah,
agree.
that's what yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I have to say. So thank
I
you.
mean, like, just like the way we take, and I think it's something like choosing mental wealth, and choosing mental wealth to require like relationship, not just the amount you have in terms of your capital, in terms of the financial resources. You need relational resources, right? People that can come to you whenever you're at your lowest point. So that's I really agree with the fact that loneliness is even in fact more dangerous than physical health. Because if you have like let's say physical health issues, somebody can treat you, right? A doctor can treat you. A surgeon can treat you. Like people can take you out because they know you are sick. But when you are lonely, you can be in the midst of people, but people will not know that. I mean, people would might not know that you are mentally sick. When I say sick is when I mean sick is not in a derogatory manner, but in the sense that like you can't share what you're going through because I mean that social interaction, that social currency is reducing, right? Yeah, I think it's very important that people learn to you know Just go out, and the government needs to work on that. But at the same time, let me just quickly, paint another picture for Nigerian audience. I feel mental health is not is not like a very known thing in Nigeria, for example, in Africa, because naturally Africans tend to always relate, always communicate, right? Um, for example, I was in during my trip recently. So last 2 weeks I was on a trip from Baltimore, Maryland to Alabama, and in that trip I had a discussion with my colleague. I was like, I have seen the way the educational system in the US works. Like it's more of like you'll be isolated, like just be independent, which is good, right? But it gets students to the point where they don't share their problems with anybody, right? They don't share their struggles with anybody. They just try to handle it alone, which you cannot be able to figure it all out, right? But in Nigeria, for example, in let's say the educational system, like once you don't understand something, you're like, Alpha, hey my guy, like let me use PG. Alpha, I don't understand this thing. If you explain and give me, you know, and you don't feel bad by asking it. So you hardly see people stuck somewhere without voicing out. But in the other part of the world, you can see people who are stuck won't voice out because they've grown into the sense of handle all your shit yourself, right? So that's why for me, I always think that mental health might not really be a serious issue, although there might be cases like that, but might not be a serious issue like that because in the sense that when you attend classes, um, for example, people will make jokes, people will crack jokes, right? While you're working, people are cracking jokes. People will talk to you not in a derogatory manner in this sense now. Like, I don't need to know you before I say I. I don't need to know you before I say, hey, especially the guys, you like, hey, my chief, my boss, things like that. And people start to engage in some long conversation as if they knew themselves from Adams, right? But it's not the scenario, it's not the same thing for like in some other country, right? So I mean that's also some other good side of that I see in the African community. Okay, so let's finalize because of time. As we wrap up with the last question, which I found very controversial, is normalizing masturbation as a solution to loneliness, right? She called it the master the art of masturbation. Master the art of masturbation. Okay, so let's discuss how self pleasure may serve as a temporary emotional outlet for lonely individuals. I think if I even go into that, she has had. Uh, I think Chikudi wants to say something. Let me allow him to speak.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. It there's a foundation for the book, and there's a foundation for its readers. You understand? And foundation for the book, it's built on a flexible moral system. You know, but on this foundation of our readers, our moral system is what it is, right, from how you met it and how it will be when you are long gone. So it's a very very moral. um our moral system is very very rigid. You just have to get that out of the way, and then you can see that even if this does not kindly agree with you in a way, there are other alternatives to self pleasure. Most times you have to take it as what is against an addiction. There's a way it goes till it gets to an addiction, and that is where the author is trying to draw the fine line that okay, when it gets to an addiction is when it's bad. You understand? But just once in a while, But if you okay, what can we now use now to substitute masturbation when it comes to okay, trying to make it on a more rigidly moral system? And you can see that okay, you can get drunk once in a while. Just okay, let's push it a bit. You get. You can get drunk once in a while, go out with people. Okay, today I'm going to get drunk to soup, but just once in a while. It's a form of self pleasure. It's something that you indulge in. But okay, let's go again. Okay, something else. Can you okay? We see people that say that food, foodies or something that you eat, stress eating or something. If masturbation is a bit less moral, okay, what of if I have okay, if it's not that expensive for you, just okay, today I'm going to treat myself that I'll just go out, eat, enjoy anything I can get my hands on. I'll just enjoy myself. Tomorrow, let us now worry about my financial problems, that how much I've spent. Just push it. You get what I'm trying to say. This is on a more rigidly moral system than you understand. Push it. There are other forms of self pleasure that you can go extreme at just once in a while. Feel your body light, make it light, and then you can now worry about it later, you understand. But when it crosses that sign of addiction, it's when now you have to draw the fine line and be like, okay, yeah, moderation to avoid, that's just the thing.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
very
agree
much.
with you.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Please, can you mute your mic now? Okay, good. Yeah. So I agree with you now on what you just said. Like, it's all about like the thin line in moderation, and I get the perspective that the writer is coming also from. So I just like for just in case of people who have not read the book, um, I really encourage you to read the book. Like, personally, like, or let me say, according to the book, the author has she's a sex therapist anyway, so she visited so many colleges talking about the role of masturbation, how it can be controlled, how it can be managed, how it can serve a greater good than a greater bad or greater evil. Um, yeah, it just falls back to humanity. Like, it's all they're all dopamine triggers, right? The trigger, like, there's a lot of research that's been done on in the impact of screen time, the impact of masturbation to the mental health, like how it triggers the dopamine and all those things. Like, but the issue is that this stuff, anything that has to do with dopamine, like, always tends towards addiction. The same thing with beverage, like, when you take coffee, um, for example, if the coffee has, that's caffeine, right? Triggers something, right? And if you take it consistently, you become addicted to coffee. But without coffee in a day, you can survive. The same thing with beverages. Beverages also contain some little content of caffeine. For some, like 3%, 5%, depends, right? All those things like make people. There's some people that they will never sleep or rest until they have like a beverage. Let's say Coca-Cola, for example. Um, so I mean, so it all falls back to that moderation, right? But but I love the perspective you brought it from, Chikodi, in the sense that is instead of looking at it from the point of masturbation or emotional outlets, let's look at it from any other thing that can, trigger, that can give you self pleasure without hurting, right? In the sense that maybe rather than just going to the, to the pub to drink every time, you could just go to the pub, let's say once, then another time try something else. Not every time. You're just like maybe have a schedule, and it falls back to the monthly schedule she also talked about in her book. Having like a schedule of things you could do, um, which will kind of bring like a pattern or a habit and put you in control of how things stem. But if you are all driven by your emotions, like, oh, uh, um, I just feel like this, there's every tendency that you will feel, because emotions are easy, they're easy triggers, right? You would end up feeling like, okay, I just want to engage in self-pleasure throughout the entire day. Then it starts to think, okay, though I won't do it tomorrow. Tomorrow it continues. And again, there are a lot of triggers out there. So why put yourself in the position? Why trigger the stuff when you could control it? So, but, I mean, that's where I'm trying to find like a fine balance, which I think is very difficult for human, right? To really find that fine balance. of when not to engage and when not to engage because of the hormones that are like within that, that are involved in this kind of activities, right? These hormones are addictive hormones if not controlled. So that's the area I found maybe controversial, but I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just know when to moderate yourself and know when to. And I know she's also campaigning for how they could like reduce the stigma around that stuff. But let's see how things go. I mean, like this is the world where things where we can't really define what is moral or not, or what is bad or good. It's all falls back to perspective, right? But I think I'll always go back like okay for loneliness. If you feel loneliness sexually, for example, maybe it might make sense for example, people who are not married, or people are married but their husband or is like distance. People are practicing like distance marriage. Definitely, you would have these hormones, bubbling, and you cannot keep shutting them off over a long time. And it's not like you want to, do the stuff with a random person in the streets, right? I mean, it's a sacred thing with in terms of your union, with your husband or with your spouse, whoever your spouse is. But that distance could, cause that effect. Like you just need to satisfy the sexual urges, right? Because sex is like a good servant and can also be a bad servant depending on how you utilize it. In fact, sex is very important for mental health. Sex is very important for spiritual balance. Also, sex is very important for your intelligence. It's important for so many things. At the same time, if it's not managed properly, it can mess everything up, right? So but for folks that are, maybe for those that are even aged, they don't have, maybe they are divorced or maybe they are a widow, things like that. You need the sex anyway. So how do you engage yourself in sex? So I feel, I mean, so it depends on context. That's what I would think. Yola, do you have any final role to say on this? This is our final area of discussion as far as the topic
Uh,
is concerned. Yeah.
no, I just say I agree with what you all have said. So
Okay, yeah, thanks. But it's a really interesting book. I love that part, like that part. I really pay keen attention to the sexual part of the book, and I think I'll also try more of her books, and talk shows to really know more about like how she does her job as a sex therapist. Um, yeah, it's really interesting, right? Yeah, interesting. So, to our viewers, to those who have been joining us so far, well, I hope you have been enjoying the session. So, we would like to know what your biggest takeaways are from the book. The takeaways you have personally from when you read the book, or the takeaways you got while you listening to this discussion. Right? Drop it in the chat box. We would appreciate that. And while you're dropping it, we'll just get like a final word of so let's say a departing note from each speaker to tell us what their biggest takeaways is, what they want, or what you would like to remember, and what you want others to. Chitodi can go ahead. Yeah.
So can I round up with something?
Yeah.
Okay. There is this. There's this stuff, and I can this match has already started. Well, yeah. There's a foundation of people that you know that are, let me say, introverts trying to connect, and there's also the foundation of extroverts that are trying to get quality connections, because I said it's not the quantity, it's the quality. And I think this is where they said that money can't buy happiness. When all these celebrities have quantity, there's no quality at the end of the day. You understand? But on the side of introverts, because that is where I'm focused on, even in my writing. I think maybe we can just try to round up on a lot of people like us now that are coming out of a phase of a mental breakdown of, okay, of a depressive state and of an anxiety and just coming out. And you can see that trying to connect would be, we're still trying to process that state. And you see, it's not like we're trying to solve just loneliness at this point, because the author, I love the way she put loneliness. It's not like the whole, she didn't bring it as, something down. She just brought it as, trying to, as something as like, are you trying to lose weight, something straight up you get. Well, there's always this stage that, someone that's trying to come out of a depressive state, how does the person now try to see this connection? Because most times I feel like the book does not really connect with people like that, because you're trying to push us too much. You understand? We're just trying to come out. You understand what I'm trying to say? And before I log off, so I just finish up, you guys can just help me out with that question. And then I want to also say for people, introverts normally, there's also this dangerous sense of validation that everybody has to take note of. Because when you are trying to build connections with people, when I just got two friends, it's very hard for you to say no to anything they want to do, because they say come out, okay, so I don't lose them. Just say okay, no problems. But you should try and single out yourself. You being self-aware is you being individualistic at some point. So I feel like you should also know when to say no. You understand? Even though even if you might lose them in the end, don't no problems. Work for another one. You understand? Try to at that early stage you might be feeling okay. Let me just say yes. Let me be the yes man so I can keep them. But do not lose your originality in the end. And that's it. So just please help us out with that question. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chickadee. Yeah, so I mean, I know you asked some questions, but because of time, I will not want us to go into that for now. But I would like the audience to really ponder on that. And if you have anything to say, please kindly drop it. So, Yola, you can go ahead with your final notes.
Um, I, I'll just I'll just say that it is very essential to just love yourself, know your boundaries, set them, and keep the rest. Just put the rest into the hands of God. Everything would follow due course. Everything will definitely work out, especially if you are putting in the right effort. So, if any friend is not okay with whatever boundaries you are setting and they decide to leave you, then they are not your friends in the first place. They are not the right people for you. I don't know. I feel like everybody in this life, everybody has different levels in which they are at.
Mm-hmm.
People that would understand you will understand you. Is that person is probably not just at your level yet, you know. And there's no need to feel. I'll just say there's no need to feel scared, that you'll be alone. Just make sure, like I said, everything will work out if you are doing the right things. Everything will definitely work out. It's like maybe you want to lose weight and you're not on a diet, you're not exercising, you're not watching what you're eating, and you want there to be results. But if you are doing the necessary things, you will definitely see results. So there's no need. But if you are there like we need work, we need, but you're not doing anything, then it won't. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to move if you don't move. So all I'll say is let's just learn to love ourselves. Let's prioritize knowing ourselves. Self-awareness is very key, and of course loving ourselves. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah, so big on the self. And Chakotay was really big on, you know, two category of people who are introverts who are trying to go out, and people who are extroverts who are trying to maintain good relationship, right? They have a lot of relationship. Going out is not a concern for them. Um, Having a lot of friends is not a concern for them. Is having good quality friends that they can call friends, right? Those are two areas. I feel another book would be best thing to discuss that. Hopefully, we get. Hopefully, in the A Little Book with Us 12, we end up picking up that book some other time. I don't know what the book will be, but I just want to read out some five quotes that I picked out from the book that I feel that we should remember. Number one is loneliness has nothing to do with the number of people around you. If you are not meaningfully connected, if there's no substance to your interaction, you will likely feel insignificant and unseen. So it's all about quality, not quantity. It's better to have two, three, four good friends that you have substance of interaction, right? Than to have a lot of people that nothing joins you guys together, nothing to discuss. You're just trying to maintain friends. No, you're wasting your time because time is also an asset, right? The second quote I want to leave you with is self awareness leads to coping strategies and solutions, builds self esteem and confidence, and smooth communications with others so that you can nurture and maintain healthy relationship, right? So if you want to create a solid foundation for your relationship, make sure you are self-aware, right? You have self-esteem, you have confidence, right? So you don't misconstrue people's intention, right? The third quote is if being overly generous with your time is making you miserable, it's time to be selfish, right? You know, yes, it's good to self-sacrifice, but know when to limit it, right? Because at the end, the other person who is not sacrificing is also selfish, right? So at the end, you come first. You know, even the Bible says, "Love your neighbor as yourself, not more than yourself." Right? Take context. Okay. Number four is small steps are important because they are more durable and sustainable than larger ones. Over time, they will add up, and you'll be happier and have more connections. Small steps like, little act of kindness, smiling, giving people credit, compliment and those stuffs would really go a long way. The final takeaway or the final quote I'll be leaving you with is the first step to fixing any problem is to admit that it exists. If loneliness is what's affecting you, then what better way to face your problem than to stand in front of a mirror and say it out loud, right? It's good to always voice out. I do that a lot whenever I just feel frustrated over something. I just say it out. Peter, why have you done this? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, I try to do it when I'm alone anyway, in my house, so that nobody thinks I'm mad. But after I've done that, like, it takes away the tension, right? So if you have a problem, first admit it exists and then look for solutions, right? So that brings us to the end of this session. Thank you so much to our viewers. Thank you so much to the Elite Road book readers, club members, or we call ourselves the tip, right? Thank you so much to the executive volunteers, our executives at the Elite Book Readers Club who have been doing amazing work. From the president, vice president, the literary curator, everybody has been so awesome. Thank you so much. Without you, this community will not keep growing. Okay, so enjoy yourself. See you next month, the last Saturday in the month of November, as we will be looking into another book. So stay tuned. And in case you have not yet joined the Elite Book Readers Club, you can search for us on LinkedIn, the Elite Book Readers Club, and on our page you would see a link to join the club, right? So click on the link, the Elite Book Readers Club, or you can just type these the um, tinyurl.com/join TBR, right? Which is case sensitive. Um, so we look forward to more time with you. Okay, bye everyone. Take care. Bye.